The Karl Franz trailer was released yesterday, and for those of you, it looked great, I think, and it's in-engine. Very important difference between in-engine and gameplay footage. It's where they use assets that are in the game engine to create a movie that, of course, looks better than what we can expect to see in using the finished game, but it gives a certain idea of the look they've gone for, the color palette and so on, and I think it looked great. So for those of you not familiar with Warhammer, I thought I'd make a short video talking about what we're actually seeing in the trailer. So here we go.
I am Karl Franz.
So Karl Franz is the Emperor of the Empire, and great voice acting, great art style that CA has adopted for this. A huge step forward.
And I was born into this world, just like you. A world of unceasing war.
Here we see a warrior priest of Sigmar fighting a warrior of Chaos, and this warrior of Chaos does not bear any specific markings of any Chaos god. So this looks like a Chaos warrior of Chaos Undivided, which is pure Chaos. You have Khorne, Nurgle, Slanesh, and Tzeentch. This warrior is dedicated to neither.
War and endless terrors, but with a nation of men
There we had an orc warrior
at its heart, a bastion of hope and courage.
And the man you see there is the demigod, the legend and savior, founder of the human empire, Sigmar, and he's wielding a Warhammer. That is the iconic weapon of the Warhammer series, and also of Sigmar, and of the warrior priests of Sigmar.
The Empire.
And here we see there are several major cities in the Empire. You have Nuln, you have Altdorf, you have Middenheim. You have Nuln being where the greatest seed engines are built. Altdorf is where the College of Mages is, I believe.
Led by the craven, torn apart by the greedy.
The hammer he carries there, I believe that is Gal Maraz, the very powerful magic warhammer. And here you can see the Rex Karl Franz, and he's an emperor. He's not a king.
Weakened and exposed.
The troops you're seeing here are Empire halberdiers. Those are some of the most common troops in the Empire. And halberdiers on the battlefield, in Warhammer at least, they get a bonus to their strength value due to having a big weapon with long reach. And they are... the thing with halberdiers is you can see them wearing chest plates of armor there. And since they lack shields and a hand weapon they can use to defend themselves in melee, halberds are mainly defensive tools, but in Warhammer, and if this carries over to Total War Warhammer, the halberdiers will have decent damage potential, but they will be very vulnerable to any kind of ranged weapon lacking shields and armor.
Forever on the defense. But no longer.
Now, we unite to purge the evil that dare confront us. Follow me, and we will banish this darkness. I swear this as your emperor.
Here come the Orcs. The Orcs are greenskins that you know and love from other fantasy worlds, and they are very similar in the Warhammer universe. Savage, primitive, ferocious, they love nothing more than a good fight.
Ready arms!
And in the background there we have some giants, and orcs go into battle both on foot and with their smaller greenskin kin, the snotlings and the goblins. There are several varieties of goblins. You have forest goblins, night goblins, you have your standard goblins. Night goblins living in hills, mountains. Forest goblins, of course, living in forests, and standard goblins living in more desert, barren, desolate areas. Here we have an Empire steam tank, a tank that runs on steam, fires a cannon. I believe it can also have a sort of a gas weapon, a steam weapon it can use to scorch a lot of troops at once. This is the Hellblaster volley gun, a multi-barrel siege weapon that can fire multiple rounds of ammunition at an enemy at once. Very destructive, but also fairly unreliable. And it's a bit hard to notice maybe, but in the background there we have some Empire greatswords. Greatswords having better armor than your standard troops and wielding a two-handed sword. They are sort of the shock troops on foot of the Empire, having and the Empire has, as you can see, the Empire is. It's sort of a late medieval Renaissance mix of late medieval Renaissance units from Europe, and with the Karl Franz, the Emperor Karl Franz, and the iconography, it draws a lot of inspiration from the Holy Roman Empire, the Heilige Römische Reich of the area that we know today as Germany. Here come the orcs. Let's see, yeah, we can see there are some trolls in the background. There's a giant trolls, big stupid creatures, incredibly hard to kill. There's a very athletic orc in the foreground here. And the Empire troops trying to hold the line here, having halberdiers on the front. And in something that it looks like the Creative Assembly is trying to hint at a lot is that they are going to, I hope at least they're going to do this, they're going to draw heavily from the tabletop Warhammer game, and giants don't attack in the same way as other troops. What you do is you roll a dice to see what they're going to do with troops, and they can, for example, smash with their clubs, they can pick up and eat, they can smash, pick up and smash. They can bellow and roar, giving a hefty morale shock to the enemy. So giants are very unreliable, sturdy creatures. It will be interesting to see how they are modeled here in the game. I believe we saw a squid there, a squig there as well. I'm just going to back it up a bit to see if there was a squig. No, it wasn't a squig. I was imagining things. Here come the Demigryph Knights. Demigryphs, you've seen these from the video that CA released announcing the Demigryph Knights, and they are knights riding on these fearsome beasts, heavily armored knights. And here you can see them attacking with lances and shields. That is quite interesting because they also have an option to bring halberds that they can use for more staying power in melee. But shield and lance looks like that's an option as well. And here an Empire Mage, it looks like he's calling down a comet of some sort, might be the comet of Cassandora. And here he comes. The orc warlord riding a wyvern, a draconid creature that lacks 4 limbs. Not as powerful as a dragon, but a fairly powerful beast. And to the rescue, Karl Franz astride, or is it Karl Franz? Yeah, it's Karl Franz astride his griffin, another ferocious beast that can fly. Flying creatures have great movement, and what's showcased fairly well here is that the flying creatures can be used to snipe things like siege engines, skirmishers, and mages very effectively if the mages are on their own. And another thing is that in Warhammer you can issue duels between characters. So if you do that, you can, for example, challenge if two regiments are fighting each other and there are heroes or champions in both regiments, then a hero can issue a challenge, and that can be accepted either by the regiment's champion or by if you think you have a good chance of winning that engagement, you can pit up two heroes against each other. And I think that's what we're sort of seeing here. We're seeing Karl Franz issuing a challenge to the Orc Warboss. So there we have it. I'm not sure that the Creative Assembly is... I mean, I might be reading too much into this. I'm not entirely sure that they mean to hint at what I think they are, because I'm not entirely sure how true to how true to the tabletop Warhammer game they're going to be. But judging by what they've released so far, it seems like they're trying to hint at that they're trying to really make it Total War Warhammer, and not just make it a Total War game with Warhammer skins. And I think that if that's what they're doing, I think that's a great idea, because one of the cool things about Warhammer is that it has a lot of depth, it has a lot of randomness, and it has a lot of character in the different factions, units, and the way battles play out. So you have the potential to have many other dynamics and mechanics than are present in other Total War titles. Strength and honor, and war!